So I realize I have been hesitating to do this month Pink Flamingo Reflection. And so I thought the best way to do it is to do a video. Today I want to talk about how I recently realized the connection between money, stewardship, and recovering from people pleasing. Now, this is something that I've never really thought much about because I always thought I was good with money, right? I was the girl who was doing money buckets before I even knew what money buckets was, before I even read Dave Ramsey, before I read Profit First or anything along the lines of that. I was doing the money buckets. I was a girl who paid my bills on time. I was a girl who, what it was, credit card, my utilities, food was always in the house. I was a girl who hated debt, right? And so I thought I was doing okay with money. I the Lord recently, last year, the Lord called me to a higher level of financial stewardship. And as I wrap out that chapter of my life, one of the things that really stuck out to me recently was how connected my people pleasing and my money management, how connected my people pleasing and money management were. What many people didn't see behind the scenes of me being looking like I was good with money and I was making good enough money was that I was carrying weights that I was never meant to carry, because of that need for approval, because of my fear of saying no, because of my fear of looking selfish, right? And so there would be persons who would ask me to loan them money that I would, even though it made things extra tight for me. There would be persons who would ask me to give money for different causes. And I mean, I have no problem giving money towards specific causes and so forth, but there was a level of shame if I even thought about saying no, or a level of guilt because I'm like, oh, it's a good cause. Why don't I give towards this, right? There were all of these feelings that were coming up from me, and so I realized after the fact that I was a giver, but I was a giver who gave self sacrificially. I was a giver who gave because of a need for approval. I was a giver who gave because of my need for validation. I was a giver who gave but did not give from a place of give from cheerfulness. The Bible talks about the Lord loves a cheerful giver. I was a giver who gave with selfish motivations, right? There's something I talk about with recovering from people pleasing, and that's realizing that there's nothing wrong with giving, but realizing that a lot of my actions were really geared towards selfishness. It was geared towards manipulating people to make people happy with me, to not disappoint people. It was geared towards control. It was geared for selfish reasons, right? And when I started looking at my money management and my money stewardship, and one of the big things the Lord said to me was to actually segment my money into buckets. So now I only have a certain amount for budget for giving, unless He tells me otherwise. I only have a certain budget amount for expenses. I only have a certain amount for XYZ, versus going with paying and then giving and then figuring out what's left, right? I have a certain amount that I have to put towards expenses, and there's mosquitoes down here. I may have to get up and move up fast, right? And then having to learn how to say no, and dealing with the fact that people got angry because I'm like, hey, I can't afford it. Like, it's a no for me. And sometimes it's because I can't afford it, but it's a no for me because it's bad stewardship for me if I give towards that. one of the biggest things the Lord showed me is how my giving enabled a lot of person in their irresponsibility. My giving enabled persons who were depressed and who felt like they couldn't do anything on their own, right? And I mean, that broke my heart when I thought about it, because I just wanted to help. There was a part of me that just wanted to help. There was a part of me that just wanted to give. And there was a part of me that felt like, hey, if I had it, why not? Right? It was really interesting as well to realize how much of my goals I sacrificed because I was giving to get approval. How much of my goals, my financial goals, I put on pause and didn't steward carefully because I was so focused on getting validation from giving money, right? I remember years ago, my I never will forget it, and I thought of it with pride for quite a while. I remember someone who knew me closely said to a boyfriend of mine, you don't have to worry about Shaniel because she's always saving. And I thought of that with pride, because that would then turn around become something that this person would come to me and expect me to give, right? This person, whether these are persons from different area of life, right, would always think that, hey, it is okay to let Shaniel take the brunt of the responsibility because she's a saver and because she's earning well, and all of that stuff. And of course, it's not this conversation here is not a conversation about what other persons did or expected. It was about how I chose to respond, right? Because I feel like a lot of times we can get caught up in that conversations of what people do or don't do and etc. And we forget that as human beings, we also have a responsibility to steward ourselves or respond to them and steward people, right? And so even when I talk about the concept of love God, love you, and love your neighbor, this is critical. It's in these seasons when persons see I have some mosquito just bite me. I'm gonna get up because this hurt. They are biting the crap out of me. But when I talk about love God, love you, and love your neighbor, these are the things that I'm talking about, right? It's recognizing that when persons ask for things, it's how they ask for it may not be what they need, right? And so it's pausing to ask yourself, how can I serve them? It's not what they need and it's not necessarily what you need. And so it's pausing to ask yourself, is this thing here that I'm giving, is this thing that I'm being asked of the thing that best serves both of us in this moment? It's pausing to pray, Lord, what is your will in this situation? Because sometimes our giving is the worst thing we can do for people. Sometimes our giving is the worst things we can do for ourselves, right? Go back, and a good example here, I gave for years and I was giving out of the wrong motivations. And at the same time that I was giving and feeling good about it, there was a part of me that was very resentful. There was a part of me that battled guilt. There was a part of me that felt like I was the bank for everybody because everybody would come to me. And there was a part of me that wondered, when would it be my turn to receive, even though I had a problem receiving that? But that's a whole different conversation, right? There's so much around this financial conversation. And this is why when I talk about the Pink Flamingo way, one of the big tenets that I talk about is stewardship. Because it's stewardship around it's recognizing that everything that we have is a resource. Whether it's our money, whether it's our time, whether it's the people that we love, the people that we come into contact with, whether it's ourselves, there's a level of management that is required, and that management has to be done in a way that is for our good and for the good of the resources that have been given to us. And for me, it was a very hard thing to realize. It was a hard thing to realize that, I had not been a good steward of my money. And the reason I had not been a good steward of my money was because it stemmed from my need for approval. It stemmed from my fear of man. It stemmed from what I thought people would say if I didn't give, and all the feelings that I had to battle with that, right? And it's not to say that I'm healed around that thing. I am healing, right? There are lots of things that I've healed from concerning it, but there are levels to it. It's around learning what true money stewardship looks like. And that's an ongoing journey. It's about putting management foundations in place for and structure in place for my finances, and actually stopping to ask myself when I feel led to give, when somebody asks me, and even when I think about giving, like, is this a thing that this is the best thing for me and this person in this moment? Is this the best thing for me and this organization in this moment, right? There's been so many cases where money is not the answer for me, and I've seen it where giving financially is not the answer, and where giving financially is the worst thing that I could do for an individual, and for myself, right? There has been certain things where saying no is a thing that I needed to do to then sit with all the feelings that came up and all of that stuff. There's been times when saying no is a thing that that person needed from me, right? More than they needed my money. And sure, there are going to be people who are going to probably say you're selfish. There are going to be people who are upset because you dared to say no, because you dared to choose a path that serves them. And I'm not here to have a conversation about putting on your own oxygen mask, because this is the thing about, that's where the conversation comes in about, put yourself first, etc. I believe in self-honor and love, and I believe in neighbor honor and love. I believe we can love our neighbors as ourselves. And it's not an either or, it's an and. And sometimes, and for me, when it comes down to finances, it's that question of, hey, how do I love? How do I serve? How do I lead my brother, my sister, my family, my friends, my acquaintances, my business partners, my customers, my husband, because now I'm married. How do I lead around this financially in a way that honors us both? Right? One of the cool things that I have seen for myself, and this is a whole other thing that I'll talk about in another life, because I'm thinking there's so much to talk about with money, around money here, right? One of the cool things I have seen is where I was stingy with myself because I was so busy giving. Like, I would deny myself the things that I desired because I was so focused on giving to others, and because giving to others left things so tight for me, I did not have the bandwidth for anything else. There are things that I would, and it wasn't even desires, there's some things that were actual needs for me, right? I remember a season where I would look and be like, I needed shoes, and some other personal necessities, and I would literally be thinking, okay, how do I make this thing work? How do I cut short the thing that I need to ensure that other people are okay, right? And that was one of the big things that the Lord showed me. Like, he's like, Shaniel, I give you the resources to ensure to provide for you. You're my child too, right? And so even this conversation, this is a whole other thing again around providers versus provision. Are you the parent or are you the child in your relationship with God? Why are you behaving like you're the one who has to provide for yourself, right? Why have you taken up the role of provider, not recognizing that you are a provision that God has made for other people? And it doesn't mean that it's a never-ending season, right? It doesn't mean that the way that you think to provide for them is the way that God intended for you to provide for them, right? And so even when it comes down to finances, that's something that we should consider, like recovering people pleasers when we don't know who we are, and that we're children of God, and that we have he has placed such a high value on us. We look to seek validation and approval for persons, and then we misuse and mismanage our resources, the resources that God puts into our hands, right? When we don't deal with the emotional backlog of needing approval, of needing validation, of fearing how man will respond to our actions, we put ourselves and on other people at risk, right? When we don't deal with this constant need for control, that's a whole other conversation. When we don't deal with our need to control others and manipulate others to get the outcome that we desire around them being happy with us, we mismanage ourselves and we mismanage other people. And so today I'm gonna end here. Today's a call to action for you to just think about how you are managing your finances right now. Who are you giving to from a place of needing approval, from a place of needing to feel validated, from a place of from anything but being from cheerfulness, right? The scripture says it. The Lord loves a cheerful giver. Are you a cheerful giver, or are you giving with resentment? Are you giving feeling like you're the one that everybody has to depend on? Or you giving from a place of you have to hold up everything because you're their only choice? What's that place that you are giving financially from, right? And today before you give another dime, I would love for you to, I encourage you to go the Pink Flamingo way, to stop and ask yourself, if you give in this moment, is this the best thing? Does it serve them and does it serve you? To stop for a moment and pray, Lord, show me your will for both of us in this moment. And if he says don't give, do not give. I'm really cheering you on around this. Like, for me, I've never really thought about finances from the angle of a people pleaser, but this one really hit me. I know you can't see me because I'm now in the sun, right? And aside from that, having wrapped that up, that's my call to action for you. There's one other thing I'd love to invite you to do. We have something that I've called the Pink Flamingo Dares, which is basically designed to help you become more your pink flamingo self, become the person you were created to be. Become like I have a friend of mine who said recently, it's not that you don't know your boundaries, is more the hard part is about learning to be and walk in those boundaries. And so the Pink Flamingo Dares is 52 dares. You get one daily with an action that takes you closer to becoming your pink flamingo self and living the pink flamingo way consistently, where you are showing up as who you're created to be, with joy and peace, as you serve others without self-sacrifice. I am going to put we're dropping the link in the comment below, or in the description below, the description area, I think probably both. Click on it I invite you to join it with us. I am currently in the process of doing it, and I tend to do those dares regularly, and there's always something new that comes up for me. So you have 2 call to actions today. Stop before you give financially, and just ask yourself, how can I honor this person and honor me in this moment? Ask the Lord, right? Because as a pink flamingo, as somebody who loves people, you are created to lead, serve, and love without self-sacrifice. Know that I am cheering you on. And come join me in the Pink Flamingo Dares, and I'll see you soon. All right, bye bye.